so that you've got this. Amazing. So the floor is open really for you to kind of ask questions, for you to specifically, ask about the training that's inside of the membership, what's coming up in your career, any issues you're having with your voice right now. Like this is the time for you to ask any questions you've got. And work through anything that you're going through right now so that you're like set and ready to go. I think it's quite nice that we've done this at the end of August as well, so that now we can move forward into September and be like, right, okay, I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going. Yeah. If you want to do some more exercises as well, then I'm happy to do those today. There's no like set plan for this session. It's more of a what's coming up for you, ask your questions, and work through any issues really. Amazing. Lauren says, I think I'm feeling quite relaxed getting up to Beltier sections now, but any exercise tips for this would be great. Yeah, perfect. I think everything you're doing, Lauren, with your voice is heading you in that right direction. Like making choices, continuing to make the choices you're making and going for those thinner sounds. So rather than it being like a blast it, belt it, like obviously you still want to be playing around with that so that you keep that going, but that isn't something that you need to work on. And this goes back to something I've said before about having maintenance goals and having your main goal that you're working towards, and then everything else is more of a maintenance thing. So what's the minimum you need to do to keep that up? Well, probably just sing a few of those songs that access that part of your voice, and then with everything else that you're doing, that's more of a I'm striving to have a thinner sound, I'm striving to have a more mixy sound, then you're working towards that as your main goal. So that's the thing you're giving your focus to. Sorry, I'm at a bit of a funny angle today because every time I tilt my iPad down it completely falls down, so Lithia says, not many questions, but I wanted to share something. Yay! After the singing boot camp, and I've been experimenting with the larynx, I've managed to sing Holding Out for a Hero at least 10 times without my voice getting tired or strained. And I think this is thanks to your classes, Gemma. So I'm very grateful to being able to master my voice. Yeah! That's awesome, Lithia. That is so good. I'm so excited by that. But that's it. Like that's mastery. Like being able to do something on repeat. I mean, if you want to be Elphaba in Wicked, you got to be able to sing No Good Deed, The Wizard and I, Defying Gravity, I'm Not That Girl. As long as you're like, you have to be able to sing all of the Elphaba material back to back to back to back when you hardly get any time off stage. 8 times a week, 2 times in one day sometimes. Like, and that's the reality. So I think if you can work that up, as you've done there, Lihia, like that is so good. So good. So good. And Holding Out for a Hero is like, it's a power song. So I love that. I really love that. But it also shows, doesn't it, that the work you put in, you get results out of it. I think this is like, I was going to make a post on this today, but I'm going to say it now anyway, so that you've heard it first. That there's 3 big mistakes that performers make. The biggest 3 mistakes singers, performers make. And this stops them from A, getting to where they want to be with their voice, B, getting where they want to be in their career, and C, it leaves them feeling really frustrated because this is not something that is taught or said enough. But the 3 things are they don't do it long enough. So you're not doing things for long enough. You're like expecting a result in a month or 2 months, and actually 6 months later you're like, amazing, I've done it. The second thing is they're not doing the right things. So you're doing things for ages and ages and ages, but you're just not doing the right stuff. Or you're not doing it in enough of it. So you're not doing it long enough, you're not doing enough of it, or you're not doing the right stuff. Like, and it's that simple. Everyone's looking for these like really complicated, like, oh, this is the reason, this is the reason. Like, well, actually, no, Likia, you've just proved that. You find the right thing to do, you do it enough times, and you keep going with it. Like, done. Like, you've probably just opened up a whole new area of style as well in your voice and skill. You see why I'm obsessed with the larynx though as well, like like that's the thing for me that I'm like, what? Like geek out on. But yeah, it's mastery. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I feel like I still have a lot of work, but I'm on the right path. Yeah, definitely. And that's it. Like that is half of the battle. Because if you're on the right path, it's like seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, isn't it? Rather than just like complete darkness and being like, what the hell am I doing? How do I get there? You've now got a bit of like a guiding light. Lauren, I've managed to sing my recall material. I have nothing for P&O well now for hopefully the next recall. That's awesome. Yeah, Likia says amazing. That's really, really, really good. I love that. I Have Nothing is such a hard song, Lauren, as well. So hats off to you, like, you know. But again, it's one of those things, isn't it? Holding Out for a Hero was probably hard for you a couple of weeks ago, Likia, whereas now with the right knowledge, the right application, like you can do it 10 times in a row. Same with you, Lauren. Like a few months ago when you auditioned for P&O and you had a couple of songs given to you that you were like, oh, like I Have Nothing is a bit of a oh shit, and now you're like, great, yeah, I've got this. Like I'm on the right track. That's the magic of like persistence and putting in the work. The cut makes it a bit easier, but it isn't easy early in the morning. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be singing at 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning, it's not. It's you know. Yes, Likia, absolutely share more. Yeah, I Have Nothing is such a banger.
I have a sheet music that they gave me because the material was a cut specific to them. So it's the first section up to Nowhere to Hide, and it just goes straight to the big Don't Make Me Close, like right at the end. So it's quite a
That's the
nice
best
cut.
cut that you can do with that
Yeah.
song as well. That's why they've done it like that. So I'd recommend using that for other stuff as well. I used to use the material that Royal Caribbean used to give out. I used to use the cuts of stuff that they gave out because I was like, oh, this is such a good cut. Or I would take their cut and put it on my music if I was doing it in a different key or something. Yeah. Having some toast.
Yeah, just making something for my mum as well, bless her, you know. Gotta do what you gotta do.
You're a good soul.
Thanks.
Likia, tell us more. Tell us more. Tell us more.
I'm just gonna unmute myself because it's way faster. I have well, I'm having a workshop with Peter on
Noden.
Tuesday, but it's like an acting one. So they
Great.
have sent me scripts and I need to choose one and learn it. And I'm just panicking, but I think it's a good thing because like I always go like into singing workshops and sing blah blah,
Yeah.
and now I have to do all the acting and learning a script, which is like out of my comfort, but I'm looking forward as well.
I think from an outside perspective, I think his acting classes look great. Really good.
Yeah, I really like the feedback that I was given during the casting director series.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, if I'm gonna start to do this, let's start with someone that I know
Yeah.
has valuable feedback. And then I'm doing like the Mixing Network auditioning for camera course.
Yeah.
So that's like every Monday for 3 Mondays. So
I loved that class so
Looking-
much.
is
So
it?
much.
The thing is that it's completely out of my comfort zone and I don't know
Yeah.
what to expect.
It was mine. I was like, I don't know what. It was one of those things where I thought I want to work on my acting. What's the best way to work on my acting? Do more acting classes. Okay, let's expand my knowledge. And what I wanted to go back to, like finding the truth within things rather than it being more presented, which I think theatre, yes, there's truth in theatre, but theatre is bigger, whereas TV, it has to come from within you. So
Yes.
that's why I chose to do like acting for camera classes and acting for camera classes rather than workshops with people in the industry, because I was like, I want to train myself rather than I want people to see me. I want to work with people, and yeah, I loved it. It's with Michael still, isn't it? Level 1.
I lost you there, sorry.
I think it's still with Michael, the level 1
Yes.
class.
Yes.
And yeah, he's like, you know, nice, straight up kind of guy. And you literally, I loved personally how you got to visit different things each week. So like you have a week on drama, you have a week on comedy. And even in those first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, okay, this is where I sit more as a, like naturally as a performer, which is really helpful. I mean, some people absolutely lean into both, but you'll notice in the class, there's some of you that are more drama and some of you that are more comedy. And I was definitely more down the comedy lines. Just I think as a theatre person as well, often you're quite animated, and I am quite animated. So for a really like close up frame and drama where it doesn't require too much, like I'm a bit much. But I loved it. I love like leaning into a totally different part of the industry as well. Like you know this about me anyway. Both of you do. I'm such a learner. Like I just love learning. So anything where I'm like, okay, we're at square one. Like let's start something new is really exciting. I think you'll love it. And it is a bit nerve wracking at first because it takes a moment to get used to watching yourself, because you do watch yourself back. So you'll film you doing the script and then you'll watch it back and like you will collectively critique it. And Michael obviously critiques it as well. And then yeah, but you get used to that, like over the, like after you've done it a couple of times, you're like, oh okay, yeah, this is, and you do get so much better at being more subjective rather than, oh, my hair's out of place, or oh, why am I doing that weird facial expression, or oh, I'm like, why am I doing that weird thing, or oh, I look really round, or oh, I don't like my makeup, or what you, which you should already, because of everything you've done with the self-tape stuff, singing
Yes.
self-tapes. I
I
feel
think
like you're past that point anyway, so
I
you'll
think
probably
it's a
be quite.
great I think it's a great training to keep on the self-tape awareness, because yesterday I was recording Holding Out for a Hero or another song, and then at some point in the song I went like that and I was like, why am I doing that? It doesn't matter, it's just hair. So it's like I was paying attention to what, because also I find really hard with pop rock, like Holding Out for a Hero, like the storytelling. I feel like I'm struggling to connect with the storytelling, like Uninvited, Holding Out for a Hero. I literally don't know what the acting intentions are or could be. So
This is really like level 1 feedback, but have you looked at it as a monologue? Like, if you said it as a monologue, like,
yeah,
and
maybe
you've thought about who you're talking to.
I should do that. But it's such, I mean, Holding Out for a Hero is a bit more clear, but Uninvited is so weird and dark, and it has so many meanings.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's diving into that and seeing if you can give it meaning, and then yeah, I guess deciding if it's going to be useful for an audition or for a self-tape or for a vocal reel, or whether it's too vague or non-specific.
okay. But in terms of an audition for a cruise ship, like this kind of, I know the acting is like the first thing, storytelling, but sometimes they don't look too much into that.
Yeah, so
Or like
this is
maybe
where
more and
this is where you kind of have to have your two versions of your pop songs. You need your I'm auditioning for a cruise that is like feel good, sing, acting's not at the forefront. Like it's having a good time because you're on a cruise on holiday. And then your version that is I'm going in for a musical and I need to be able to tell a story through this pop song. Like that's where you need your two versions. And that's where you'll also get conflicting advice where one casting director might say, oh well, if you're singing a pop song you still need to tell the story. But notice how they cast musicals. And then you get some people that will say you just need to rock it out because they cast things that require you to actually just rock it out rather than be full on telling a story. Majority of cruise ships, excluding those that have book shows on, will be more down that line. Like show that you're, when you step on stage, the people that are already on holiday having a great time are going to have an even better time. Because that's the purpose.
Yeah, it's more about like connecting with the audience, not necessarily through the storytelling, but through the entertainment part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm comfy with that.
Yeah. Which I mean, your experience gigging and singing with bands and everything like that goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
perfect. Lauren, anything you want to drop in?
Particularly, I'm just trying to expand my rep a bit more. I've been working on Edge of Glory the last couple of days.
Cool.
Just to try something a bit more rockier for when I go in for that sort of thing. So yeah, just trying to get that part of my voice because I listened to Ellie yesterday and like she does like and maybe I like it this way. She does like she says why, but it's like really like that tone that I need. So I've been trying to like just say that word and try to get that into my voice when I'm doing my rocking stuff.
Yeah.
Because that was quite cool to hear it.
Yeah, Ellie's voice is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I mean, she's been doing it a long time as well, so.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, she's always been like that, to be fair.
Yeah.
I've known her a very long time and she's always been like that. She's always been phenomenal. Yeah, I know exactly what, yeah. Do you know what is a really great way of learning that? Listening to rock singers and mimicking them.
Okay, yeah.
Like literally whack on some Aerosmith, AC/DC, Pat Benatar, like even like Bonnie Tyler, Janis Joplin. Like get some, go on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever you use, YouTube, and put in like rock ballads and listen to what they do and mimic their sounds. Like that is the best way to achieve.
Okay, yeah. Because a lot of I had a Peel Talent on earlier in the year, and that was more the vibe they wanted. I think I was too like smiley for them at one point.
That used to be one of their audition songs, like 10 years ago. Edge of Glory was one of their audition songs.
Yeah, so I had to do Alone, and I done Losing My Mind from Follies as well. So they gave you like a list of A and B, and then you just picked one from A and one from B. But they had lots of stuff on there, so yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. That would be my top tip for how to sing rockier, or poppier, or countryer, or more opera, more classical. Like actually, like mimicry is such a great doorway into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the things like if you've watched the singing boot camp, like talking about larynx position and stuff. I mean, obviously next week in the singing boot camp we'll be diving into like pop anyway, on Monday.
Okay.
So yeah, that will be really helpful for you, I think, as well.
Okay, yeah.
Use some
Drop
of
in
those
on
things,
that.
but some of the things you're doing already, because I think you hear singers do it and you've picked it up and gone, oh yeah, I like that, and made it your thing. I
Yeah.
think you'll be surprised actually how many things, Lauren, you're already doing.
Okay.
But I also think
Without
it's
knowing it.
probably actually a really good class for you because it'll raise awareness around the things you're doing so that you make sure it's a choice as well rather than
Rather than
it
just
just
coming
happening.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
That's the main thing that I find out now, that before I would just sing, now I'm singing consciously of
yeah.
what my instrument is doing, which is really good. Which actually reminds me of a teacher I had. It's like, okay, you go for classical. If you go for pop, then you never gonna last. Your voice is never gonna last until you're 60 or something like that. So basically, never ever in your life sing that shit.
Yeah, of course.
Like
Yeah.
it was like,
Isn't it funny how it always works that way round though? It's always a classically trained person says don't do modern styles. It's
yeah,
never a modern style person will say don't do classical. Modern style people are like, yeah, great, go for it, do everything, expand your knowledge.
yeah. So, um, so breaking that myth,
Yeah.
you can definitely. I mean, if you think about singers, rock singers, like you can hear, like by the age of, I don't know, 70, the voice is a bit dusty or rocky, and I don't know, drier, because they have chosen or to use a voice in a different way. But are
Can
we
I challenge
able?
you on that?
Yes.
Do you think it's because of their choice of voice use, or do you think it's the lifestyle? The alcohol, the smoking, the drugs, the lack of
Definitely.
sleep, the touring.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's the culture of rock and touring and gigging performers
It's
rather
like
than.
Miley Cyrus is a good example of this because like her voice like goes like this. Like she's got an incredible voice, but when she was going through that phase where she was like, "We can't stop," all the partying, it was crazy. But now she's released a new song again. It's like, oh, Miley's come back. It's really cool.
Yeah,
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 yeah, definitely the lifestyle.
yeah. I think
So
it's the
you can,
culture around it as more than the actual voice use. But go on, carry on.
so you can definitely spend your life singing "Holding Out for a Hero" just as an example, or like that, and not damage your voice.
100%. Yeah. It's all about, I think it's more, rather than how you use it, I think, or what styles, I should say. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Rather than like blacklisting styles, I would say it's more overuse. Like the main reason, from all of the research that I know of and have looked into myself, the number one reason for people having vocal injuries isn't how they use their voice or the style they sing, it's how much they use their voice. It's the quantity of like over voice use and not recognizing their voice is tired, or so lifestyle choice, I guess, more than like pushing through when actually you needed to say no, I'm not singing this, rather than singing a certain type of songs or style. So yeah, you could be a rock singer and your voice still be absolutely at peak condition when you're 60, 70, providing you've looked after it. Like you know what you're doing with your voice. B, you don't overuse it. And C, you remember your instruments inside of you. So whatever you do and every choice you make and the culture you live in has an effect on your voice. Every single choice you make.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, can I do my vocal range in the lesson today? Because I haven't done it for a couple of years now, and I don't know if it's still the same.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do that later. We'll do that first, Lauren. Remind me, because my memory's
Yeah.
terrible.
That's a good
Okay.
idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. When have we got our session, Lihia? We can have a look at your vocal range then as well.
Okay. I think I mostly want to look like, I don't know, spotlight on the two videos
Yeah.
I recorded yesterday. But like again with rock and pop and contemporary. Well, when it says contemporary pop rock, does that differ from pop rock?
No, that's just the most vague way of saying something modern.
Yeah, because it's funny because there is this. I think it's a cruise. Yeah, let me find it.
It'll be that they do maybe a couple of contemporary musical numbers. They do some pop, they do some rock, they do some country.
And they said submit like a contemporary pop rock. Do contrasting songs, contemporary pop rock. And I was like, well, the thing is anonymous, so where do I actually submit it? So I just recorded and put it in my Spotlight.
Yeah, yeah, great.
Great.
Either that or you can upload it to YouTube and then in the notes section when you
Send the
submit,
link.
put the link in there.
Yeah. So yeah, what I only have Holding Up for a Hero Uninvited, but I struggle to find more pop rock.
The best way to find pop and rock stuff is to listen to playlists. Like, in all honesty, when I'm looking for any of you as suggestions, or when I'm like looking for songs myself, I go, okay, what have I sung in the past? And we'll look at my playlists of like what I've got backing tracks for, or what I've got tracks for where I was learning stuff for bands, or shows or gigs, and I look at like 80s pop ballads, pop songs, or rock anthems, and I will scan the list first for songs that I know, and then if there's any songs on there that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one's a great one, I'll write it down, or listen to it to check if it does fit or does work. It depends what you want to show as well. Like, I think that will be really helpful to, yeah, when you're listening for things as well. So if I put a playlist on, I will know within the first sort of, very often I skip forward in the song, but I'll know by listening to like a clip of it whether it's worth listening to the whole thing, whether that could work, or whether that's just not quite the right vibe.
Yeah. I used to think
How?
Beyonce and Leona Lewis. That's my Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys.
Yeah, love Alicia Keys.
Okay.
There's so many, that's the thing. And I think you can look through a list and decide the no's very quickly, and then whatever's a potential put into a playlist, or write them down to then go and listen to them a bit more, and have requirements, because I think that's the problem, isn't it? When you give yourself a vague requirement and you're trying to find a song, it's like if I said to you, bring a musical theatre song, you'd be like, what the hell, like I don't even know what, like there's so many different, like, do you want something more traditional, do you want like something really well known, do you want something modern, like do I need to bring something like full song, do I need to bring like, if I just gave you that vague instruction, and that's the problem when people say like pop, rock or contemporary, because it's so vague. Whereas if somebody said to you, bring an 70s or 80s pop song in the style of this, you'd be like, okay, great, I'm going to go and listen to a playlist of 70s and 80s stuff, and that's going to be the right song for me, or that's an option.
So in that case, you cannot pick, I mean, you could pick anything from your rep, but if you don't have any 70s, 80s in your rep, then you have to go listen and learn and deliver.
Not necessarily, which is where this contradicts, and I feel like I'm going through a season of contradicting myself all the time, but I think that is truth. I think that's just life. If you have a 70s, 80s pop song, then absolutely sing that. If you don't have a 70s, 80s pop song, I think you have to choose. This is where you have to know yourself and be like, okay, I've sung 70s and 80s stuff with bands or gigging or in this show, so I'm going to sing this song because I know it. I've done it before, not in an audition, but I've done it. I know the song. I just need to get the pianist, make sure I'm happy with it and it works on piano, make sure the cut's good. Or if you haven't, if you're not in that situation and you're like, you're better off to sing something you feel more confident in. If it has anything that hints towards, I mean, prime example is Mamma Mia has always asked for like 70s, 80s pop songs, obviously in the style of ABBA, in the style of the show. But I know for a fact that the musical director is happy to hear more modern ballads as well. So like he doesn't mind a bit of Adele. But Adele's not 70s, 80s. So I think it's using, it's discernment, isn't it?
Can you, like, once they send you or once you've seen the brief, could you suggest to them, do you think this would be a appropriate song for your audition? Or
I
not
think you could
really?
walk into the audition and be like, I've got these two options.
Okay, but not beforehand.
I don't think they would respond, if I'm 100% honest with you. But I also think like that's what people like me are for, or friends, or like connections, and that's the whole point in making connections, so that you've got that like link between.
Yeah.
So that you've got people or someone to go to and say like, I was thinking of singing this or this, what do you think? And then it's a more educated guess, although you can't reach out to them specifically apart from in the room, and you still have to be prepared for them to say, it's up to you, what do you want to sing?
Yeah.
Because I'd say 9 times out of 10 that is the response you get.
Yeah.
Lauren, I saw you put something. Oh yeah, I've been singing How Will I Know and River Deep. Yeah, they're great songs, both of them. How Will I Know is perfect for anything like young, cute, preppy. You can use that for Mamma Mia, you can use that for Grease, you can use that, you could use that for Footloose, you can literally use it for anything that's got that like youthful, positive, like I'm in love, I'm happy, I'm high on life, like vibe. And use it for obviously like the more like pop show, variety, cruise sort of stuff as well. And then River Deep is great because it shows your voice, shows your range, and that's one of the songs that I used to do, where I took the cut version from Royal Caribbean's audition pack, because I was like, that's a great cut, and used that, which is fab. Great song. Just struggling for cuts both at the moment. I mean, that's something again we can look at later on. Make sure that you're like clear and happy with those.
I have made myself like a profile, like an artist profile on Royal Caribbean, but I'm not sure whether they look up on that or they just use Spotlight, or is there any other place apart from, because I did one for Disney and Royal Caribbean, so is there any other place that I can go to apart from Spotlight?
To create a profile?
Not to create a profile necessarily, but to get like auditions, news and things like that. Because I find with Spotlight, they just like, I'm a ghost in Spotlight right now. It's like nothing.
Yeah, Spotlight is a very, very large ocean, that's why. And not everything gets put out to everyone.
So,
I have a profile on Royal Caribbean, and that's how I got my self-tape through for the Grease. I have like my recent like self-tapes and videos on there, and then they asked me to do a self-tape for them. I didn't get it this time, but that's my way of doing it rather than through Spotlight. I submitted Spotlight as well, but I like linked it with my Royal Caribbean profile, my spotlight. I put that linked in there as well, just so they can see both.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's really smart.
Okay.
Really smart.
Because sometimes in the spotlight it says, feel free to email if your client is not in spotlight. And I was like, I'm more tempted to send an email rather than submit myself to spotlight, because an email they will see it, and if I write right thing and put the self tape, that's just straight. But I never know.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because, just playing devil's advocate for a second, you could submit via email and they see your email come through, maybe they read it or they put it in a folder, and they remember it or they mark it as like, I must follow this up, but it gets forgotten about or it gets lost or it just gets kind of put to the side and forgotten about. Spotlight, you end up with the masses, so there's loads and loads of like little faces, and again you kind of get overlooked or forgotten about. So, you know, which one's better, which one's the way to go? I would test it. In all honesty, now because I haven't done that format for years, so now I would try that out.
Okay. So in terms of email, like, because like from experience, all casting directors that we've done workshop with, they always say, if you send an email, make sure you have a reason to send an email. Like, even if they're headshots, new headshots. But if I send my new headshots to casting directors, what do I say? Like, I have taken new headshots. Do you like them? Like, what? Or for example, I just had like pop rock self tape, and I can send a look. I have done some self tape on new repertoire songs. Do I ask what do they think? Do they actually gonna take the time to look at those and give me feedback?
I think there may be some casting directors that might do that, and then there's some casting directors that will just read it, like look at it and then not respond. Personally, I would do it more as a look, person that has already met me, that knows me. These are my updated headshots that I wanted to share with you. If you've got any feedback, great. I also understand that you're crazy busy, so if you don't respond, like I'm not expecting a response, but I wanted to share my new shots with you. Or I've updated my vocal reel, I wanted to highlight this, it's attached below, and that's literally enough. Alternatively, if it's someone you haven't met before, also if it's someone, if you have met them before, I would remind them where they met you, because that will jog their memory. If it's someone you haven't met before, then I would do more of a like getting on your radar type of email. Like, hi, I've not been in the audition room for you before. You don't do workshops, or I haven't had a chance to do a workshop with you, or I'd like to do a workshop with you in the future, but I wanted to drop into your inbox and introduce myself. This is what I'm incredibly good at. Here's the evidence to back this up. That's what I would do. I would highlight myself and be like, I'm here just to let you know in case you didn't know about me, because there's loads of people. No one's doing that either. Like, nobody is. You think there's thousands and thousands of performers. Nobody does that shit. There's like I could probably count people that do that on one hand or two hands. Out of
That was me
thousands.
for Mamma Mia auditions. I was like, I probably won't get selected this year, but I'll just say hello, so you might see it.
There's literally no harm in doing that, because all they're going to do is open your email, look at it, and like. But that's the like. There's the science that's been done. I believe this is still the same. That it takes 7 connections or 7. I forgot what the actual word is, but it's like 7 things to connect like parts of your brain together. I don't know if it's like neurons or something. I'm not a scientist or a brain person. I don't know what the actual words are. But a connection is made when something is done or thought about or connected 7 times. So this is the this is the like kind of, I guess, the laughableness about going to one workshop with one person and being like, oh, I didn't get in the room for them. Well, no, because I've only met you once. But to you, you're like, but I've met them once. Yes, but they meet like thousands of performers. They know thousands of performers.
Yeah.
Thousands of performers come into their workspace. So how do you stand out from that? Well, you have to keep meeting that person. Like, I was that person that people were like, for God's sake, oh, she's here again. But you then become known by them because you've made that many interactions. So, like, example, you send an email to be like, hi, I'm getting on your radar. There we go, that's one contact. You get no response. Maybe they scan through your email, but in their brain somewhere, that connection is starting to be made. You then go and you take a class with that person. That's the second connection. Like, all of a sudden, like, the connection's getting stronger, but it's still not there. It's like maintaining a relationship, isn't it? Like, you wouldn't go on one date with someone and then marry them. Like, and that comment is ridiculous. But that's literally what everybody thinks. Okay, well, I've met you once now. I've auditioned for you once. I've done a workshop with you once. So now that means I can marry you. Like, that's not how it works. Third connection is maybe you submitting for something, reminding them why you're perfect for it, reminding them where they met you before, just re-establish that connection. Fourth is maybe you go into another class with them. Fifth is you get in the audition room with them. Six is, I've got a new show reel, I've got a new voice reel, here it is. Seven is you get another audition for them. You've then made those 7 connections that the brain is now connected. So whenever they see you, they'll be like, oh yeah, that person. They're right or they're wrong. You're in or you're not. And it becomes that simple. But nobody does it, and this goes back to those 3 mistakes. Nobody does it enough times for a long enough period of time, the right things. You go to one class, you send one email, you apply for one audition. And that's why, like, kind of, actually, it kind of makes me laugh that I booked Disney Hong Kong on the 7th audition. Like, and that's not saying that it takes everybody 7. It would take somebody else 1 audition. People I worked with auditioned once. They literally come straight out of drama school. One person I auditioned with, who now is one of my closest friends, didn't get into the college she wanted. So she auditioned for Disney. She went and worked for Disney and then went to college. So she's at college now. Is she learning anything more? Probably not, but that's a side note. So yeah, other people, it might take them 10, 15 times. But the people that keep going are the people that do it. Because inevitably you can't keep doing something and it not happen. You can't. It's impossible. I do not believe for a moment that you can put in the work, believe you're going to do it, and not do it. Like, it's just not. If you keep going, if you're doing the right stuff, if you're doing enough of it, it's literally, you can't see into the future and know if it's happening next week, next year, or in 5 years.
Yeah. By the way, I haven't told you this. I'm in the reserve list for the Kellen masterclass.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. Just in case anyone drops out, they have a reserve.
Yeah, but if they drop off, I'm gonna panic.
What song did you submit?
I sent Journey to the Past.
Right. Cool.
So,
I like that. You've done that before though, right?
I did it with Felicity.
Oh, cool.
And she said that song suits you very well, and I think it does, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I really want to I don't know. I want to do so many things. But like recording more pop rock and Disney is one of the things I want to do.
Perfect.
You have that vocal and then the more classical musical theatre.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to do the thing on the 29th, but I'm worried I'm going to be in my Lapland training that you're doing, Gemma.
That's
so
hard.
Yeah, so
you've booked onto that, haven't you? You were like the first person to be like, I'm in.
Yeah, you know
So I
why?
really want to do
Because
it.
the week before, I have booked an intensive autumn dance thing,
Great.
and that's gonna be 25, 26, 27, and 28, 10 till 5 dancing, and then I'm 29, I'm going to London, baby.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's so good. That is going to be a week of pure like for you.
And it's half term
Yeah.
as well. So we'll see. I mean, I wanted to travel, but now that's not happening.
Yeah.
And so what do we need to bring for that
You'll
day?
find out all of that stuff, but it is more of it's a day tailored to like a lead singer actor more than a dancer. I don't know. It depends on who the guest tutor is. I'm still working things out as to whether that will be a director or a choreographer. Or
Lauren and I, we went to Harry Blumenau
Hmm.
workshop last week, was it? Or the week before?
Yeah, it was like a week or so ago.
Yeah, how was it?
How did you find it, Lauren?
It was good. I think it was really good. And there was one incident, I don't know if you remember in the middle class. One girl was a bit funny with him, and then it made the whole like atmosphere go a bit weird towards the end of the class. But when I was singing with him and you were singing with him, Nikia, it was fine. Like we were all good, and he was really nice to us.
When was that? Is that it was the Irish girl? No.
I can't remember. She's been in one of Gemma's classes before. We were singing "Never Fall in Love with an Elf." Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and there was a bit of like a confrontation between the two of them. That was a little bit awkward.
Yeah, of course. What's her name? You know her. Emily.
It's wasn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Emily Law. But I think it's because she has like a strong personality, but I don't think, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. And I felt after that, like it was a weird energy. I don't know.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, useful, but I don't know if it happens to me like to other people. Like we were about 10 in the room or 12, and from 12 people, like 4 or 5 didn't really receive any feedback. They were perfect. And that really sometimes it's like, oh,
From
you know
my
what I
like
mean?
for me personally, when I used to go to classes, if somebody didn't give me feedback, I'd literally be like, "Can you give me some sort of like thought on it?" Because
Mm.
that's why you go. Do you not? I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people go to be validated. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
And
like to go just to get something from the person, some
yeah,
advice. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, definitely. And I think it's very rare for somebody to not get feedback, depending on who it's with. Um,
yeah.
but
Like
yeah,
I
from
didn't
a
get a huge amount, but I got a little bit, and that's all I needed.
yeah,
Like,
I
yeah,
think from a from a casting director's perspective, some casting directors are very good casting directors. Some casting directors are very good casting directors and also very good like coaches, teachers as well. Like they're very good, excuse me, in a class environment. I think Paul Wooler is a great example of that. Like I think he's very good in the room. I think James Pearson is a great example of that. James
I
is
think
a
Grace was good
great.
yesterday as well, or your day before.
Whereas there's some casting directors that are more, they give their opinion and thought, but it's, yeah, not. How do I say this without sounding like an asshole? I think some
No,
people
like
are
they give
moving
their
mountains
opinion.
and
Yeah,
some people are not.
I mean, there's always gonna be their opinions though.
That's the key. Yeah, it's
So
always their opinion. So someone might see you and give you 5,000 different pieces of feedback, and then someone else might see you and be like, "I have nothing to say," and you did the same thing.
so yeah, that's something because I have taken on board like all the feedback, right? For how did we come to this? And so I applied to the next and to the next and to the next. And then I have the good thing, I think, for me is that I have never received the same feedback from a different person. So
Isn't that interesting?
at least I am like kind of improving, but actually it's just an opinion. So people might see it differently. Because I
Yeah.
remember Felicity going like, well, maybe I've been living in a daydream, like, who the fuck cares? And I was like, okay, that's your opinion, the way you might want to see this song because you have heard it performed so many times, you want to change to it. But maybe it doesn't work in my performance kind of thing. So
That's
it's
it.
like,
That's literally the key. That is you've hit the nail on the head. Like it's making sure that you take notes and you look back at those notes because there's no point writing notes. I used to do this. I used to go, right, okay, who am I going in for? Look at the notes I got for specific songs or their general notes for other people, what they liked, what they didn't like, and then I would make sure that I take that version into an audition room. Obviously, if you haven't done class with somebody, you just have to do whatever feels right for you. You can take things on board, but I think the more you do classes, and both of you will get this because you've both done a lot of classes, the more you do classes, the more you realise that it's opinion, it's experimental, like there is no right and wrong. You can take on board some people's advice and you can not. It's like take everything. I used to, when I first started doing the casting director series, very often I would put a reminder in the emails and say, remember to take everything that is said to you with a pinch of salt. Like take on board what is helpful. Everyone is just giving their opinion and what works for them and what they think. I mean, Grace said this the other day, didn't she, Lauren? Like, her and Jim can be sat watching somebody and have a different opinion, yet they're on the same casting team. So imagine what it's like when a casting director sits there, a director sat there, an MD, a choreographer, and they've all got different opinions.
yeah.
So like, there isn't any right or wrong, but I also think if you can show a casting director that you're going to be someone, because this is the whole point of these workshops, it's not to get auditions or to get better at your songs or to find your casting, like, yeah, they're all byproducts of it, but the key thing is that the casting director gets to know you on a better level and a more natural level, so that they know you're a great person, you're going to be a good person in the audition, like in the rehearsal room, on the contract. They get a better vibe from you than they would in an audition because they spend more time with you and get you on a less nerve-wracking or specific level. And I mean, that's it more than anything. It's the personality thing. Like, yes, you're a nice person. Yes, you're someone that other people can be around for a long period of time. Because it also doesn't come down to them. So they can give their, like, yeah, okay, here's my 2 cents if you want it. But at the end of the day, if the director loves you, it's irrelevant of what the casting director thinks. If the director hates you, it's irrelevant of what the casting director thinks. And not obviously on a personal level, like they love the artwork you're presenting, or they don't like your artistry.
So when you go for the same, like for the same workshop, not the same workshop, when you go to a workshop with a person that you have been before, like for example Grace,
yeah,
you would sing something different, right?
Yeah. So I always used to the way I always used to do it, and the way I still recommend you guys do it, is when you're meeting someone for the first time, sing your go-to songs that are like, this is me. When you've met someone before, you've done your go-to songs, they know who you are, that's when you then can be like, okay, I'm going to show you something else, or I'm going to show you the same thing but parallel, or I'm going to bring something new that I kind of want to workshop because A, I know that you're a good teacher and I'm going to gain a lot from it, or B, you've worked on the show and I want an insight into the show.
That's what I did. I took one of my new songs to Grace and I was like, this is new. I just want to workshop it with you. And then I workshopped it with her and she was talking about my improvement since last time I sang for her. So that was good.
I love that she said that. Like, I'm really glad.
Yeah, it was
And I
really
also
nice.
think you
Yeah.
received it in such a professional way as well. I feel like so many people, when they performers, when they get a compliment, go into this like, oh, like self kind of depreciating thing, and you were like,
Yeah.
thank you, like I really appreciate that. Like you were like, yes, I have fucking worked on my voice. Like it is
I am
sounding
fucking
great.
good.
Like thank you for acknowledging that. And that's
Yeah.
how it should be. Like
Yeah.
100%. I loved the way you received it. And that song is also a great one to work with for her because it's a song that gets taken into Wicked all the time.
Yeah.
What song is that? Sorry.
Life I Never Lived.
Life I Never Led.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting as well. This is why I like to try and pair cast and directors together, different cast and directors together in one series because they're different and they cast different things. Or like prime example, Grace wants a 32 bar cut, whereas Paul wants a full song because that's what you do for them. Like I like for you to be able to explore different areas, and yeah, it's not just a case of like throw a few cast and directors together. It's tactically done. So
Will it
that
be cuts for today as well? Or...
yeah, he wanted cuts,
Yeah.
which surprised me. I thought he'd want a full song to work on, but
Yeah.
yeah, he said he
That's
wants
fine.
cuts so that you can do more, basically.
Cool. No worries.
I'm so gutted I can't be there.
It's fine.
So
They,
when's the
they,
next
they
one?
come round again. Probably beginning of October, I think.
Okay.
Not confirmed. I haven't got any confirmed dates. There's only one casting director that is sending me dates back right now. But other than that, yeah, I haven't got anyone else confirmed yet. I really wanted James Pearson to be in at some point over the next few months, but he's so busy.
Me too. Oh my God.
He's so busy, which is great. Like I love it. I said to him, I was like, it's really great that you're busy. Like, yeah,
It's just
every time
such a
I've
shame.
spoken to him over the last like few months, he's like, I'm so sorry, but I can't do that month now. Hopefully November. Don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he'll be quieter in November. It's just everything keeps coming up, which is great. Like I love it when they're busy and they're flying. But he's a great teacher as well, so that's why I really, yeah, love having him in. But yeah, one of those things. Any like final questions or thoughts or anything you want to throw out before we round up?
It's a long thought.
Yeah.
Because you like with the every time I met a new person, I'll go with my go-to song. And my go-to song has always been How Did We Come to This?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every time I like the more I sing it, of course, the more the better the sound, and like I get good feedback for improvement. But then I have also got that it might not be the song for me or age appropriate or character, and it's like, but I sang it so well, so it isn't that the whole point? I don't know. It's really hard. I need to go back.
What's your question behind that? Is it the right song to be singing first?
For me, it's my go-to, but is it?
That already tells me it probably isn't. Because I think when you're like, this is my go-to song, you're so like sure of it.
Like, I wouldn't think of singing anything else as sure as I'm singing this one.
But is it because you love singing it and you've put a lot of work into it? Or is it because you feel like it is your song?
No, definitely because I sang it like amazing. That's it.
Yeah. I think it's a great one to have alongside something that is like your song. I think you're brighter than that song.
That's the thing. It doesn't really. I mean, it helps me with the acting a lot, but it doesn't really match me.
I think for you, it's a great second song.
What about the Times Are Hard for Dreamers one? Is that too, or Journey to
Yeah.
the Past, maybe. Yeah,
Journey to
to
the
go with
Past
it.
is a great one that you do,
Yeah.
that you should lead with. But if you're like on the fence about it, maybe it's time to look for something.
I do like Journey to the Past, but I thought, no, maybe just me thinking stupid. Maybe that's a great song. I should stick with it and
Yeah.
be more brave with it, or in my dreams or something like that. Just
Mm.
like
Maybe because you've
right.
focused on the other ones so much, you can take a break from that one and go on the Anastasia stuff and see what feels comfortable for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try that.
yeah.
That's gonna be your next director series. Well, unless Felicity and it's like, I don't know what to say. Because
Yeah.
how did we come to this? Is like my song for Les Mis.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That was my thought. Like when I choose songs, what roles do I want to play?
But
Les
so is Journey to the Past. Journey to the Past is great for Les Mis.
Mis, is it?
Yeah, because it's hopeful. It's about someone that's like faced some challenges and is like, I'm still see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going. I'm going to do this.
And in terms
Yeah.
of the vocal part of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they always say to do I Dreamed a Dream without looking sad.
Yeah.
That's probably why
Biggest
there's
note
that
for
would
like
be right.
everyone that goes in for Les Mis is A, fuck the voice, don't think about your voice. Tell the story. And the second note is hope. Every single person, like on my own, isn't sad. She's not depressed. She's like hopeful. She imagines like a better life when she's on her own. Like she's living in a dreamland. It's all stemmed on hope. Every single thing. Javert is hopeful that one day he's going to find Jean Valjean. Marius is hopeful that they're going to win the revolution and then he can disappear with the love of his life who he's just met. Cosette is hopeful that there's somebody out there and then somebody is out there and she's like, oh, you're the first person I've ever met in my life that isn't my dad, but I love you. Like, it's a bit weird, really. But every character in that show has hope. Even to the moment, you know, up to the point of where Fantine dies or Eponine dies, they've still got that element of hope that it's going to be better for themselves or for somebody else. So yeah, how did we come to this? It shows a darkness, absolutely, but I think a great contrast to that is Journey to the Past, because that shows hope, which the whole show is hopeful. Otherwise we'd all leave the theatre and literally want to go and jump off a bridge.
And that's not what we want to do.
A la Javert's suicide. Like, yeah, which we don't. Like, we leave the show and we're like, ah, we feel moved, we feel elated, we feel like we've been on a journey.
Okay, we can talk about this further into the session.
Yes.
The Journey to the Past is definitely there, so I can work more on it and not be scared of it. I guess.
Yeah. 100%. Awesome. All right, nice, really, really nice. Okay, Lauren, I will see you later.
Yes, see you later.
Twice later, 3 times in one day, what a treat. And Lihia, I will see you, I can't remember when, but we've got our
Tomorrow.
session. Oh, tomorrow, great, perfect.
Mix versus belt.
Yes, of course. Yeah, singing boot camp tomorrow.
Which,
Awesome.
do you know how long it might take?
I'm going to say around 90 minutes. It shouldn't be longer than 90 minutes, but
I might have to watch the replay because I
that's
need
fine.
to leave.
If you know, can only stay for an hour, that's fine. Do the hour and then catch up on the rest. That's fine.
Right.
Amazing. I'll see you both today or tomorrow then.
Thank you. See you later.
See you later.